Today, we're going to go over how to make a super useful toiletry kit. These are really cute kits. You can make them of different sizes, you can add straps to them. They feature a zipper and a lining. You can put pretty much anything you need in there, and you can make them out of cotton or even a waterproof material like this donut fabric that I used. To make them, you will need some type of straight edge like a ruler or a quilting square, a basic zipper, a seam gauge, a seam ripper, some scissors, and some marking pencils. For my fabric, I have chosen a printed lining fabric. It's just basic quilting cotton. And for my outer fabric, I have used linen, which is a little bit stiffer, and that will give it more structure. Now we'll go over what size we're gonna make. As you can see, I already have my rectangle drawn out, and the zipper itself is what's going to dictate the size of your bag. So since mine is 9 inches, 10 inches including the tails of the zipper tape itself, the shorter sides of the rectangle are 10 inches. The longer sides are 16 inches. The zipper itself can be longer than the short side of the rectangle, but you don't want it to be shorter because that will mean the opening of your bag will be much smaller. To begin assembly, we're basically going to be making a sandwich of fabric with a zipper in the middle, having your lining facing up, the zipper facing up on top of that, and then the shell fabric on top of that. We are going to go ahead and pin this. All 3 of these edges are going to be aligned. So try to simply keep the zipper in place, and I recommend pinning perpendicular to the line that you're going to be sewing. Be sure to backstitch at the beginning and ends of your stitches, and sew along the side of the zipper as close as you can get, but not too close to the zipper itself. When you reach the zipper head, which is the actual zipper mechanism, you're going to lift your presser foot, reach inside the fabric, and unzip the zipper. This will help you have more space and keep the zipper head out of the way. Once finished, open this up and you can see that the lining fabric is on the bottom side of the zipper and the shell fabric is on the top side. Next, we will repeat this process for the other ends of the fabric. For this side, you'll probably need to unzip the zipper about halfway in order to get started without having the zipper head in the way. So taking the other sides of each short edge of the rectangle, loop that back up to the zipper. So the yellow will stay on the yellow side of the zipper. The lining fish fabric I used will stay on the lining side. And so, once you reach to where the zipper head itself is, again reach inside the fabric to close up the zipper, and then continue sewing. Now, check your work to ensure that both edges of the lining fabric are on the bottom side of the zipper and both edges of the shell material are attached to the top side of the zipper. If they are, go ahead and press. You can use an iron or finger press these to make it look more crisp. Next, we're going to top stitch this. This is just going to help make the zipper more structured and keep the fabric out of the way. And repeat for the other side. Next, turn the whole kit inside out. So we're going to have the lining facing outward. And try to get the zipper panel right in between the middle of these 2 sections. And you can measure this. Go ahead and pin down the zipper in the middle just to keep it centered. We will next be measuring out and marking our squares that we are going to be cutting out from each corner. I chose 1 inch, and that's going to make mine more of a short and wide kit. If you wanted something more square, you will want the lengthwise measurement to be longer, and that will make your kit taller. Now we will cut out each marked square from the corner. I will also be pinning down each of these side edges, and we're going to sew these down. Be sure not to sew over any pins as you go. Try to slowly pull them out as you work. Once you reach the end with the zipper head, try to unzip it about halfway. This will make it easier to open up later. Trim these edges if you have a lot of excess. Next, I'm also going to check my work, make sure it looks good. We're basically going to have a centered zipper pouch with holes on each corner. Next, we're going to top stitch the seam that we just did from the outside. This will help give it more structure and help make sure that that seam is going to lay down flat. We're almost there. Go ahead and turn it right side out again just to check your work and make sure you didn't accidentally sew anything that you didn't mean to. You should still have one opening on every corner of your bag. Next, we will be closing up the 4 corners of your pouch. Grab each corner, pinching them diagonally, kind of like the corners of a pillow, and pin them with the seam that you just made on the center of one side of it. And repeat this for the other 3 corners. Remember, trying to get the seam that you just made centered will help keep these symmetrical. Next, we will sew each corner, making sure to catch all of the 4 layers. We can turn this right side out to check that it looks good. Now we have a pouch. If you want to make straps for each end of the zipper pouch, go ahead and cut out of the same shell material or your lining material for a contrast 2 rectangles. I did mine 6 inches by 2 inches. Once these are cut out, you can fold them in half and in half again so that all of the raw edges, long ways, are enclosed. We're going to stitch these along the edges just to give them more structure, and then attach. To attach the straps, simply align each edge with the corner seam, and we're basically going to be sucking this into the seam and sewing it. So just holding it right up to the edge and pinning it in place for each side. When it's time to sew, simply go in from the seam allowance that you've already taken about another 3/8 to a 1/2 inch. This will make your bag just a little bit shorter, but you won't really notice, and you'll have some cool straps. Repeat this for each corner. And once you're finished, you can trim the edges of these corners just to get rid of the excess fabric. Once that is finished, your toiletry kit is ready to go. You can store makeup, drawing supplies, shower supplies, anything that you need to carry along with you.
Mentor Kyriece from the Kansas City Digital Media Lab in Kansas City, Missouri, shared the following video on using the in-browser program Sampulator to build beats at home.
Hi guys, my name is Kyriece Devine, and I am one of the lab facilitators at the Kansas City Digital Media Lab. Today, I'll be showing you how to use an online beat making software called Sampulator.com. So the first thing you want to do is go to your web browser of choice and type in Sampulator.com, and how you spell that is right here in the top left. You'll come to a screen that looks just like this, a bunch of squares and a bunch of different colors. Now don't get confused, don't get nervous, it's super easy to use. Now you don't need a MIDI keyboard to trigger these sounds, you just use your keyboard that is attached to your computer. So if we want to hear the clap, we just hit the 1. Snap is 2, rim is 3, and it goes all the way through the keyboard. So if we hit the 1 again, we get the clap, and if we come all the way down here to 808.5, we hit the plus sign. If we want the hi-hat, we hit the Q, the next one is W, the next one is E, the next one is R. And it just goes through the entire keyboard just like that. The next thing you need to know is down here in your bottom right corner, which is your meters. So if you click on this, you'll have your BPM, which goes from 70 to 150 and any number in between. So I'm at the very lowest, I'm at 70 just because I prefer a slower kind of beat. Then you have your bars, and this is how many times your beat will loop. So you can go from 2 bars to 16 bars, and you have your meters down here, your time signatures. And then to your bottom left, you have the record button and the play button. You can hit shift to record and spacebar to hit play. So I've already laid down just some keys and some drums, just something little so you can hear something. So let's play that. So that's something that I've already laid down. And now I'm gonna add some guitars and some 808s just so you can see the recording process. One other thing that you should know about Sampulator is that it doesn't count you in. So if you're a regular in the lab, we use MPC, we use GarageBand, and even Soundation. And we know that when we hit record, it gives you a 4 count before it starts recording. Sampulator does not do that. As soon as you hit shift, it begins recording. And when you're recording, it'll show you through the grid all the way through here. So when you get to the end of your bar, you have to hit the space bar to stop the recording, or it'll record over what you've just laid down. So let's go ahead and get into this recording. So I want to add some guitars, and I kind of been playing with the sounds beforehand. So I think I want to lay down just that. Alright, so to trigger these sounds, I'm just hitting J and K. So I'm going to record that in. And I usually count off just to get my own timing. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's play it back. So this is what I just laid down, just soloing it so you can hear it. Cool. So let's lay down some 808s. So I think I want to lay that down. And just so you know, again, I'm again just hitting 808.1 is the number 8, 9, 0, minus sign, plus sign. So you're still just using your keyboard. Super easy. So let's count this out. So 1, 2, 3, and... So let's play that back. So now you can go through and start muting things that you don't necessarily like. So I think those keys are a little loud, so I would like to just keep that. And I have an extra note in here, so I'm gonna delete that. Just click on it and delete it. So then you can go through and clean up and mute stuff, move notes to where you think they should be or how you would like them to be, and just kind of clean it up. The only thing that you can't do is really mix in here, and so that's just turning down each instruments. They're kind of already pre-mixed, and you're just laying them down in the way that you want them. The other thing you can do is save your beat. So you just have to sign in with your Twitter account or an email, and you are able to sample things, and then you're able to go and listen to other beats that other people have made right here on Sampulator. So yeah, guys, that is how you work Sampulator. Thank you for watching, and I can't wait to hear your beats.
How I win. Have you ever been watching a movie when two characters start to video chat and you wonder, how did they actually film that? Well, today, we're going to find out. We'll make a short film that looks like a video chat using just your cell phone. At the end, we'll edit it all together so that it looks like it was actually filmed live. I'm going to be using Adobe Premiere, but feel free to use whatever video editing software you have, like iMovie.
Here's a sample of what the end result might look like.
You're never going to guess what happened today.
What?
Mom thought I was you, and she asked me what you wanted for your birthday.
You get the idea. Step 1, planning. So the first thing you're going to need is a script, a 2-person dialogue that you can do with a friend. In my case, since I'll be filming it with myself, I chose a short film about me and my imaginary identical twin. If you're doing it with a friend, you'll need to share it too.
You need to decide if you want to film it with a friend, in person or remotely, either way works, or if you'd rather do it by yourself. In that case, you'll be playing 2 different characters.
The next step is to set up your camera. We're filming it like it's a video chat, with one device filming one character. You can use a tripod, you can set it up on a stack of books, you also can hold it at arm's length, although you'll probably want to film landscape. Step 2 is filming. If you're filming by yourself, you'll need to film both parts, ideally in different locations so the background feels different. You're going to be recording just one character at a time. They'll say all their lines and go entirely through the scene, also leaving pauses for reactions. You know how in a video chat there's that other person at the top just listening? Well, be a good listener and leave a really long pause. You're going to want that extra pause footage in editing. Here's an example of what one side of the footage should look like.
You're never going to guess what happened today. Mom thought I was you, and she asked me what you wanted for your birthday.
Once you have both of your characters filmed, it's time for step 3, editing. I'm going to walk you through all of the editing steps in Premiere, but you can do similar things in other video software as well.
So you'll want to start by creating a new project, using the New Project button. You can name it whatever you want, then hit OK. So the first step will be making your layout something you like. I like mine as an assembly, so I go to Windows, Workspaces, Assembly, just so it's a prettier workspace. Then you'll want to import using Control-I or Command-I, depending on if you're on Windows or a Mac. Import the film you want, and then you can right-click it in the project bin and rename it something more helpful, like Take 1. You could also right-click and clear the takes you don't want. Once everything's organized, then it's up to you to start figuring out which takes you want. Let's start with the dialogue layer. So I am trying to make this gray bar exactly the size of what I think should be in my movie. So I can use I on my keyboard to set the in point of a clip and then O to set the out point. Once I've done that, I drag from the project bin down to the timeline, and that only brings that little gray bar from the in to the out point. So watch. Let's see, I for in, O for out, and then I click and drag down to the timeline. That's a cool trick for editing. However you edit in Premiere is totally fine. So now your goal is just to edit together all the clips that have dialogue into layer 1. So for this project, it is important that they're all on the layer that says V1 if they're dialogue, because we're going to be using V2 for something else special later. You can right-click and set to frame size if your film happened to be a different size. That's super helpful if people are texting you things on iMessage and it gets compressed and it's like oddly half the size a video should be. You can also change the scale in the effects panel. This is just a demo. It's not something you have to do. And now we're going to create a second layer. And this second layer is for our reaction shots. Just the reaction shots. Remember how we decided to film really long reaction shots earlier? Well, we'll be thanking us now, because now we're doing a second layer V2 just reaction shots. And because it's on V2, that's at the top, it's going to look really silly for a little bit because you're going to make your entire video just be reaction shots. The next step will be to make them small, put them up at the corner.
But I like putting them on V2 because that way you can see what you're doing as you're working. So let's fast forward, pretend that we've done all that. And now let's go to the first clip on V2 and make it look like FaceTime. So you can go to the effects panel, let's change it to scale 25. Click it, move it up to the corner, and suddenly you have something that looks an awful lot like a video chat interface. Now we need to copy that particular look and paste it onto everything else by copy and then right-click, paste attributes. You can pick what attributes to paste. The main thing you want is motion. Hit OK, and now those same attributes have been pasted onto everything else on video 2. And be sure just to paste those attributes onto video 2. Now we've got what we want. It's perfect. Oh, why not add some drop shadow to that little video up at the top? So you can do it by finding drop shadow in the effects panel. Just like you apply normal effects in Premiere. Go to your effects controls. Let's just do it on the first one again because we can copy and paste those attributes everywhere else. Now I've added drop shadow to the first clip, and I'm going to trial and error it to see how it looks. I really want that video up in the corner to pop out. So I'm going to increase the distance, maybe change the direction, change the opacity. Once you have that drop shadow, it should really start looking like a video chat interface. Now we need to copy and paste those attributes onto everything else on video layer 2. Once we paste those attributes, especially the drop shadow attribute, we hit OK. And then every single video on video 2 both is scaled to 25% in that top corner and also has the drop shadow. Now let's add some cute title at the beginning, like my short film. We can use the graphics panel for that, plus the text tool. Why not do it at the end? Let's do something like credits. And there's a cool feature in the newer update to Premiere that lets you click on a graphic panel and click roll. You see roll start off screen? Yep, and that lets your credits roll on screen. So now you've got yourself a short film. Let's export it using File, Export Media. Using this new dialog box, let's change that to H.264. That's a pretty standard format. You can rename the output name and choose where you save your file. I'm going to name mine Finished Short Film. And then you hit Export. And then you wait. Why not see how it looks?
You're never gonna guess what happened today.
What?
Mom thought I was you, and she asked me what you wanted for your birthday. Which technically means she asked me what I wanted for my birthday. What did you tell her that I wanted? I said I wanted my own room, without you in it. Really? Congratulations! You've made your socially distanced video chat short film.